So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to go to Google Classroom and I want you to go to the Build a Sandwich assignment. Your instructions are going to be here. This is where you're going to turn in your sandwich, your completed sandwich Photoshop file. And these are the images that you are going to use to build your sandwich. So you're going to click on these and download them. If you don't get a new window like this, or you don't have this icon, you're going to come over to your window and you're going to click those three dots and you're going to choose open in a new window. Now you should have the download icon, so click on that. Now it's no longer pulsing with a circle around it, so I'm going to click this drop up arrow and I'm going to do show in folder. Here it is. Up top are the extract tools. I want you to click on the compressed folder tools. Then to the right hand side, you're going to click on extract all. You can keep everything the same. Make sure that this is checked so that a new folder opens up. Here are all of my images. So I just want to go back into the downloads. When you're working, this is the folder that I want to work in. You won't be able to open Photoshop if you're working in this folder. So if you're having issues opening things, check and make sure that you are not using this folder. These are your original images that you can go back to in the event that you mess these ones up. Okay? We're going to open this file in Photoshop. We're not just going to click on it, because if we click on it, it opens up your picture editor in Windows. Okay, so Photoshop is open. We're going to do open, and we're going to go to where we saved those Build a Sandwich ones. Now here's my zipped folder. I can't use these ones. And here's my unzipped folder. I can use these ones. I'm going to select the tablecloth one. It's going to open in Photoshop. The very first thing I'm going to do is a Control-Shift-S. This is going to allow me to save my file. I'm going to name my file my full name, dash, not a slash, a dash, sandwich. I don't care if you spell it correctly or you spell it in my way. The next thing you're going to do is change this Save As type to a PSD. It's at the top. It's the Photoshop PSD. And then click Save. From this point forward, everything is going to be placed into this file. Okay, now we're going to do the plate layer. So we're going to go File, Place Embedded. And we're going to choose the plate layer. Now you want this plate, you want all of it to show just like it's showing on mine. I'm going to hit enter. You're not going to do any transforming yet. You want the whole thing to show on your image so you get all of the background. You just learned about a whole bunch of different selection tools. This is circular. So I'm going to start by using my elliptical marquee. So I'm dragging out. Remember, I can hold the space bar to move things around. I'm releasing the space bar and I'm continuing to drag out. Okay, that looks like it's pretty close to size, so I'm pushing the space bar and I'm just going to try and get this to fit. Okay, my mouse just disconnected, so I didn't do a very good job here. I am going to go Selection, Transform Selection. You can zoom in by hitting Control+. And you want to get this to be as good as you can. That's not too bad. The top needs, for me, the top needs to come up a little bit. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to hit enter to set my selection. Now, I'm still in a selection tool. I'm going to go in and select and mask this. I'm going to change my view to this overlay. Okay, so in our in-class demo, I talked about this red not always being a good color. So here I'm going to change this color to green because these images are red based, green contrast with it. I have to click in here to make it stick, in this area to make it stick, and then I can click OK. So now it's more obvious what is selected and what isn't. That's a pretty good selection. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the two magic sliders that really make your selections good. So I'm going to feather this. And then I'm going to bump up the contrast. Down here, I'm going to change my output to layer mask, and then I'm going to click OK. So now I have that black and white icon that indicates I have a layer mask on my layer. And now I'm just going to, okay, so when I look at my layer, there's a little bit of red up here. This is not too bad. This is a pretty good selection. I noticed the red here just because there's white there. I'm going to double click on this icon to bring up the select and mask. The other way that I can edit it is to click on, to make sure that my layer mask is selected, and click on select and mask. I'm just going to shift my edge a little bit. That was too much in the wrong direction. I just want to get rid of that little bit of red. Okay, I think that's pretty good. I'm going to change this view to view on layers and see if that, oh, there's still a little bit there. So I'm going to shift this edge just a little bit more until that goes away. There we go. So now there's no red line right here. Now I'm going to click OK. When you're done with this, come get me and let me verify that you've done this layer correctly so that you don't do the whole assignment wrong. All right, I'm going to do one more of the items with you just to go over those steps again. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to save this. Photoshop takes up a lot of resources on your computer, and you need to save way more frequently than you did with Illustrator. So Control S. I'm going to click this Don't Show again so this stops showing, and then OK. All right, so once again, we're going to go File, Place Embedded. Now you want to do Embedded because if you link your images and you put your Photoshop file in that folder that you have to turn into, without the images, then I won't be able to view your work. If you place them as embedded, they're in your Photoshop file. It makes your Photoshop file much bigger, but when I open up your Photoshop file on my computer, I will be able to view your work. So we're going to go Place Embedded. We're going to do the lettuce leaf. I'm going to make this smaller. Okay, so I just hit Control minus to zoom out. This looks pretty good. It's all within. I can always make it bigger later. So I'm going to hit Enter to select that. All right, so now we're going to use the quick select tool to select stuff on to select this lettuce. The black background is the most simple, so I am going to start dragging on the black. I want to make sure that I get that little piece. Okay, it's getting in there. Here's another area that needs to come out. That can stay in, that looks like just shadow. And there's a little one over here. All right, now that I have a really good selection, I'm going to do the select and mask. And as you can see, I selected the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and I'm going to click this invert. And now I have the lettuce selected. Okay, so one thing that students run into is they get this little black edge, and right here too, along the edge. You want to make sure that you get, I call these halos, and you want to make sure that you get rid of those halos. So I'm going to do my radius first. And this view I'm on layers. So I'm going to do my radius first. Oh, that made that, oh, there we go. That was weird. I feel like it did make it worse. I'm going to do a smart radius and see if that makes it any better. Bringing my radius down made it a little bit better. I still have this black outline. So now I'm going to change my output mode to layer mask, and I'm going to do OK. I also want to show you a couple of other tricks. I still have a black halo in here. I will go in and edit that, but see these lines right here? You guys often leave these lines with your layers, and the way that you get rid of them, first you have to figure out what layer they're on. So you need to hide individual layers until you find which layer it's on. Then you're going to select the mask. I need to deselect because that was selected. You're just going to select the mask icon. And then with a paintbrush, using black and white reveals, black conceals. So I need to change these. I can use this arrow here, and I can use X on the keyboard. I'm going to make my brush size a little bit bigger, and I'm going to use the bracket keys to make them bigger. Okay. I'm just going to double check my brush. Okay, my hardness is at 100. I don't want it to be soft and feathered because I don't want to accidentally, when I come down here, get a piece of the lettuce. All right, so all I'm going to do, making sure that this is checked. If you suddenly start getting black lines on your lettuce, it's because you're painting on the lettuce layer, not the mask. So all we're going to do is come down and paint these lines away. There's some over here too. And that's how you get rid of the background lines, the leftover background lines. So now I'm going to go back in and edit this mask to get rid of this black halo. And all I have to do is shift my edge until it goes away. Now I'm going to do that feathering. Probably not going to do it as big. And then the contrast. And those look pretty awesome, those edges. And I'm going to click OK. So my plate is hidden. This lettuce is way too big for my plate, so I'm going to go up to my arrow tool, and I'm going to do Control T on the keyboard. And then holding Shift, I'm going to drag this lettuce from a corner. You have to hold Shift to do proportionate. And then hit Enter when it's the size you want. So you're going to continue to do this for all of the images that I gave you and build the sandwich. You then need to set the table with a minimum of 4 items, and you cannot use silverware or napkins. You may not use any images that have transparent backgrounds. You will need to do a large image search. So in your web browser, in your address bar, type whatever it is that you want to put on here. I am going to put, I think I'll put one of those coloring mats. So I typed in diner mat. I'm going to change to images. I'm going to go to tools and then size large. Now I want to make sure that the image I get is taken from above because that's how our plate is set up. Okay, I'm going to use this one. Now, how do I know if this is really an image? So you want to click on the thumbnail and then this will pop up. And as you hover over your image, this tells me it's 1395 by 939. The way that you can tell if your image is going to be big enough is the larger the pixel number, the better resolution you will have. So it's really important that you first set it up to search for large images. I decide that this is the image I want. I'm going to right click on this image and I'm going to do a save image as. You're not going to do a copy image and then go to Photoshop and paste it. There are two reasons you want to save the image instead of pasting the image. The first is by saving the image. You always have a copy of it to go back to. You change your mind or you need to do something else with the image. And the second reason is that by placing the image, it is placed as a smart object, and this will allow you to enlarge or shrink and enlarge again the image without any quality issues. Whereas if you paste the image, it's pasted as a raster object and you have to remember to convert it to a smart object. I'm going to save this image in with my Sammwich files and I'm going to name this something that will remind me what it is. So this I'm going to call the placemat. And then you're just going to go through the same steps that we did for the sandwich ingredients, selecting and masking them, just like we did with the sandwich ingredients. The next few things I'm going to teach you, you have to choose two to apply to your layers. There are 3 things, but you're choosing 2. So on my lettuce layer, I want to make sure that just my lettuce layer is selected, not my mask. We're going to change the blending mode of this one. The blending mode is located right here, and you're going to click on that and choose one of these. It doesn't matter. It's helpful if I can see it. I needed to add another layer in so that I have 3 things to do. Obviously, if this was your file, you would go ahead and select it, but for the sake of the tutorial video, I'm just going to leave it as it is. All right, so I applied a layer blending mode to the lettuce. Now I'm going to do the plate. The other thing that you can do is change the opacity of a layer. Here's your opacity. All you have to do is drop it down. And the third thing that you could do is a layer effect. So in this blank gray area, if you double click, your layer style pops up. You can choose to do any of these. So if you click this, it just applies it. If you click the name, then you get some additional things that you can do. So I want you to play around and see what you can do with these. You'll know that the layer effect has taken place because it will put an FX at the end. So the last one for me didn't take. I don't know why, but now I have done one. It's taken. There's an FX there. So again, for step 6, you only need to do 2 of the 3 things that I have shown you: the blending mode, the opacity, or the layer effect. The rubric is on the website with the instructions. Before you turn in your file, I want you to make sure that you have done everything that is listed in the rubric. Students typically forget to do step 6. So make sure that you use the rubric and you go through everything there so that you get the maximum amount of points. The final step is to turn your PSD file into the Google folder I provided in the assignment. Before you do that, you need to make sure that your file is saved with your name and then Sammwich. Otherwise, I won't know it's your file. You're going to open up Google Classroom, and you're going to click on the Build Me a Sammwich Google Drive folder. Now, you're not changing the name of anything. All you're going to do is come down to your folder icon and go to where you've saved that PSD folder. Here's mine. It has my name, so I know that when I put it in this folder, I am going to know who to grade for this. So I'm going to, in this folder, it's sitting on top of my Google Drive folder. I'm going to click this, drag, and drop it. Now, the other way that I can add, if that's not working for you, the other way I can add is to click New, File Upload, go to where I've saved that folder, or the Sammwich file. Here it is. Here it is. Click this, and then click whatever OK version.